Arm fat is one of those things that shows up everywhere you do not want it to. Every photo, every sleeveless top, every time you wave at someone and feel something moving that you were not intentionally moving. And the frustrating part is that your arms are not even the problem most of the time. The problem is a combination of actual fat, fluid retention, and underdeveloped muscle underneath, and most of the advice targeting arm fat addresses none of those three things correctly, while making you do an exhausting amount of work for a result that never quite shows up the way you expected. The first thing worth saying clearly is that you cannot spot reduce fat from your arms any more than you can spot reduce it from your belly or your thighs. Your body decides where it loses fat based on genetics, hormones, and the order your body follows when releasing stored fat. And that order is not something you can override by doing a specific exercise targeting a specific area. Arm exercises done to slim, your arms are not burning the fat on your arms. They are developing the muscle underneath that fat, which changes the shape and firmness of the area as the fat reduces through overall fat loss. Understanding this distinction is the difference between doing the right things for the right reasons and doing 100 repetitions of something that feels productive, but is not producing the outcome you're after. With that said, your arms are actually one of the earlier places most women see visible fat loss results, which is both encouraging and annoying depending on how you look at it. Encouraging, because it means the approach that produces overall fat loss will show up in your arms relatively quickly. Annoying, because it means the arms you are frustrated with right now are probably one of the first places that will visibly respond once the right variables are in place. And most women abandon the approach before that response has time to become visible. 30 days is enough time to see a real difference in your arms if the approach addresses fat loss, muscle development, and fluid retention simultaneously rather than just the exercise component in isolation. Fluid retention is responsible for a larger portion of arm puffiness than most women realize, and it is the component that can change the fastest. Your arms, particularly the upper arms and the area around the triceps, are prone to fluid accumulation when your overall inflammation is high. When your sodium intake is elevated, when your sleep is poor, and when your lymphatic drainage is sluggish, the soft, slightly squishy quality that arm fat often has is partly actual fat and partly fluid sitting in the tissue on top of and around the fat. Reducing systemic inflammation through better sleep, lower processed food intake, adequate hydration, and reduced sodium produces visible changes in arm appearance within the first week to 10 days that have nothing to do with fat loss and everything to do with your body releasing fluid it was holding unnecessarily. This is consistently one of the fastest visible changes available in the first 30 days, and it requires no exercise whatsoever. Sleep drives this more than any other single variable. Poor sleep elevates cortisol. Cortisol promotes systemic fluid retention and inflammation, and both of those things show up in your arms visibly. A woman consistently sleeping 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep will have visibly different looking arms than the same woman sleeping 5 to 6 hours of broken sleep, independent of any difference in diet or exercise. This sounds like an exaggeration, and it is not. The difference that adequate sleep makes to the appearance of your arms within 2 weeks of consistent improvement is visible enough that people notice it and comment on it, and it costs nothing except the decision to treat sleep as the non-negotiable priority it actually is, rather than the luxury that gets sacrificed when life gets busy. Protein is the nutritional piece that determines whether the arm changes you produce in 30 days actually stick or dissolve the moment you stop being vigilant. Your body uses protein to build and maintain muscle tissue, and muscle tissue in your arms is what creates the firm, defined appearance that makes arms look toned rather than soft. Without adequate protein, your body has no raw material to develop the muscle underneath the fat, which means you can lose fat from your arms and still have them look soft and undefined because the muscle that would give them shape was never given what it needed to develop. Most women eating what they consider a healthy diet are consuming significantly less protein than their body needs to support any meaningful change in muscle composition. Increasing protein intake meaningfully over 30 days while keeping overall calories moderate produces visible arm changes that calorie restriction alone without protein never achieves. The muscle development side of this matters more than most arm slimming content admits, and it matters specifically because of what underdeveloped arm muscles look like when the fat over them is moderate. The tricep is the largest muscle in the upper arm, making up roughly 2/3 of the arm's total muscle mass. And it is almost always the most underdeveloped, because daily life involves very little pushing movement that loads the tricep under meaningful resistance. When the tricep is underdeveloped, the back of the arm has a soft, undefined appearance that reads as excess fat even when the actual fat present is not excessive. Developing the tricep through progressive resistance creates a firmness and shape in that area that changes the entire appearance of the arm without requiring any fat loss. And the combination of even modest tricep development with the fat and fluid reduction happening through the other variables produces arm changes in 30 days that feel dramatic relative to the effort involved. The good news is that meaningful tricep development does not require a gym. Your own body weight provides enough resistance to create the mechanical tension that drives muscle development, particularly for women who are starting from a low baseline of upper body strength, which most women are because upper body training is the most consistently neglected component of female fitness. The key is that the movements need to be genuinely challenging, meaning you need to be working close to your limit by the end of each set, because movement that is comfortable and manageable throughout produces no meaningful adaptation. Incline variations reduce the load for beginners and can be progressed by lowering the surface angle as strength develops, making them infinitely scalable without any equipment beyond a stable surface that exists in every home. The bicep gets most of the attention in arm training content, despite being the smaller of the two major upper arm muscles, and developing it contributes to the overall arm appearance, but less dramatically than the tricep. The shoulder, specifically the lateral head of the deltoid that creates the rounded shape at the top of the arm, contributes significantly to how the arm looks in photos and in clothing, and is almost universally undertrained in beginner female fitness programs. Developing the shoulder creates a visual broadening at the top of the arm that makes the rest of the arm look proportionally slimmer by comparison, which is one of the reasons women who train their shoulders consistently report that their arms look better even before significant fat loss has occurred. Consistency over 30 days matters more than intensity of any individual session. Your arms will not transform from 3 sessions. They will transform from 20 to 25 sessions done consistently over a month, with progressive increases in difficulty as your body adapts, combined with the sleep, hydration, protein, and reduced inflammation that allow the fat and fluid reduction to happen simultaneously. The combination of those variables working together over 30 days produces results that feel disproportionate to the individual effort of any single component, because the components are addressing the problem from multiple directions at the same time, rather than hoping that one intervention covers everything. Your arms are not a lost cause, and they are not uniquely resistant. They are responding to the inputs they are receiving, and right now those inputs are not the ones that produce the result you're after. 30 days of the right combination changes that, and the arms that show up at the end of that month will make the ones you were frustrated with at the beginning feel like they belong to a completely different approach.